That's nice.
Now, some of you remember many years ago this thing was actually all the same color, and then we had to have a little rebuild situation that happened. We ended up getting some new sheet metal for the bed, and it was sitting in e-coat for a long time because I just wanted to drive it. I didn't really care. But the time has finally come to get it all back one color. We've got the bed blown apart here in the garage. Obviously the fenders are off, sitting over here. The tailgate is sitting over there. That's stripped back down all the way. We've got these down to e-coat. They're already pre-scuffed, ready to go. We're gonna come in, get epoxy primer on this whole thing, let that all flash up, chill out for a little bit, come back, hit it with color, and then if time allows, come back and finally hit it with that matte clear. So it's been a while since we've done something. The paint's ready to go, so just time to get after it.
These panels came e-coated from the factory, which you can in some cases spray right over. But ours is a few years old, so I thought it was best to go back with a fine grit Scotch-Brite and give it all a scuff first. And before we spray anything, the whole surface has to get wiped down with wax and grease remover. Anytime I'm painting over bare metal or something that hasn't had paint on it before, I like to start with an epoxy primer first. It's also worth noting that because we're not going to spray a high build primer or a filler primer of any kind, getting a full coverage and even substrate to paint over with this epoxy primer is even more important. As a result, we sprayed a little wetter than we might normally with an epoxy primer and did some follow-up coats in a few spots. We had a warm, fairly dry day, so the epoxy didn't need a ton of time to flash. Just enough time to clean up and then get ready to mix our color. Because I'm using a modified color, and because I'm a little paranoid, I actually held on to that formula and had more paint mixed up using the exact same paint system that I had used when I painted the truck before. This stuff lays down really well over that gray epoxy primer, so we had the coverage and color we wanted in about 3 coats. And finally, it was time to move on to clear. This Duplicolor Paint Shop clear is by no means my favorite, but because it's what we used the first time around, I'm using it again to give the bed the same texture and look that the front half of the truck has. And with all of our finish laid down, it was time to let it dry before we could come back, unmask everything, and get it put back together. And since no one's got time for that, let's just jump straight to the good part.